Why do we make photographs? I think if you asked 100 different photographers that question, you would get a smattering of answers that you could probably categorize in 4 or 5 kind of ways. Because of course photography is different things to different people, or more specifically, different things for different purposes. For a lot of us, it's a form of art. And when we're being artistic, we're interested only really in the final product. For a lot of us, it might be documentary. We're interested in capturing the reality of what's there. Some photojournalism will fall into that, and obviously in very much a more solid way. You can't really embellish a photojournalistic kind of image. I asked this question primarily because I got a question or a comment on my recent and very poorly viewed, as I knew it would be, video on photo editing using a Nik collection. I'll leave a link up here. Please go and view it. It needs the views. Anyway, the question was something along the lines of, have you given up objectionable photography and therefore now kind of preferring to embellish reality? It's a paraphrase of what was said, but it's along those lines. Now, I'm pretty certain it was said in jest, but it sparked an idea, which is this video. So why are we taking photographs? And is it okay to edit them? Well, for everything I've already said, no and yes. Or is it yes and no? I can't remember the order. I think without doubt, for a lot of us, it's for a sense of perhaps well-being. And that falls into a number of categories. Certainly for me, there's a big sense of well-being in this. I've made no hiding, not tried to hide my really rather poor mental health throughout this channel. And photography gives me a reason to be. Now, would it have to be photography? No, I mean, my reason to be once was my family, and that's sadly no longer the case. It had to be replaced by something. I didn't find photography recently. I've always been a photographer, but it's given me a new wellness, a new reason to wake up in the mornings, and I'm going to couple that with also you guys, because if I wasn't showing my photography on YouTube and on social media, well, not so much social media anymore, but YouTube of course is social media, then I would not photograph so much, because we create things for partly for our own enjoyment, sure, but it's difficult to put this into words, I suppose, because we need to feel appreciated. And that's what all of those likes and thumbs up and subscribes and everything help us do, isn't it? It helps us feel appreciated, because at heart, yeah, we're social animals, we're social creatures. A lot of us might be introverted, a lot of us might be a bit weird. We are social creatures, and if we can't share what we do, what's going to be written on our tombstones? We're at that time of year where there's the first wonderfully beautiful flowers of winter coming out, snowdrops. And this area's got a lot of them around. I'm not specifically saying these woods, there's a few little pockets of them around, but there's loads by the roadside, loads of little pockets of woods, and they are spring up everywhere now. I was going to come out a few days ago and take some photos, but I'd done my back in, and there's no way on Monday I could have got down on my knees like this. So here we are on Thursday, and I'm on my, well, kind of on my knees. It's beginning to hurt. Anyway, we'll talk about the photos. Beautiful little thing. And what caught my eye with these is the sun was completely on them. The sun's moved around now. I've got the shot already. picked up the shot probably 15 minutes ago. And the sun was absolutely just catching this tiny little grouping of 4 snowdrop flowers here. So bottom right hand corner of the frame. And I'm getting some of the background detailing over here, but obviously really soft. So it's not a macro shot. It's not necessarily even very close up. It's environmental. It's placing these beautiful little flowers in their environment whilst putting all of the focus and emphasis on the flowers themselves. I hope you like the shot. So this is something I don't normally do. I don't normally show you the raw file and then an edit. But I'm going to go a bit further because I edited this twice. There's a subtle difference between the two edits, but I think the final edit is better. Now, the reason I'm doing this is simple. It's to show you what the reality was in terms of what the camera can see and capture in one go. And this is an important point. It's to compare that with an image that focuses your attention on what the subject is. It focuses your attention on that subject via the use of some dodging and burning and techniques like that to really just get that eye into the right place. Honestly, which one do you prefer? The embellished reality version or the original straight out of the camera version? Because it is just the raw file. So what is embellishing reality? And actually, more importantly, does it matter? Now, I asked this question of the person that left the comment, and at this stage, I don't know whether they've answered because it was just last night they left the comment, and this is the next morning. And yes, I am wearing a different jacket. I actually went back to the cottage because I'd forgotten my phone and I was getting a bit sweaty in the jacket. So it was only down the hill. I went back and I changed this to something that I wasn't going to melt in. Anyway, listen, it's about this concept of embellishment. What does embellishment mean? Well, I suppose if you embellish a garment, you're adding things to it generally, aren't you? You're changing it to arguably make it better, at least in your eyes. You wouldn't do it otherwise. So if we embellish reality in a photography sense, surely we're making it better. Anyway, I've spotted an image of the pier down here, which I rather like. I take lots of photographs of these little shelters on the pier. I think they work rather nicely, and I've put my 40 to 150 on with a 2x teleconverter because I really want to get in here and just make this photograph all about these, not with that bird in it though, these shelters on here. Sun's kind of coming through them. Sun's up there now, shelters are down there, but it's catching the perspex windows on there, which are quite frosted over the years, and I rather like this image. I'm sure it could be better. Should I embellish it in post? Only to the point that it's keeping in with the ideas and what I'm effectively seeing now. I don't want to change this into a grainy image as I'm doing quite a lot these days. I'm not going to try and retro this out or anything. It's just going to be relatively straight image. I might say straight out of camera, but you've already heard me say, I'm sure, in various videos that straight out of camera doesn't exist, and if you haven't, check out the video that's up in the, I don't know which corner it is, in a corner, and we can discuss that a little later. This new music is from audio.com. It's found using the link match system, which allows you to give it a link to another video where it'll analyse what it can hear and then gives you some matches. Hope you like the music. You'll find links in the description to save up to 70% on the year subscription. You've already noticed, of course, that the photography in this video is very varied, from that little bit of woodland to a town street. And actually, this is 9:15 in the morning in Cromer. The sea is literally on the other side of this building, and this isn't a shot that I'm going to get that's uncluttered at other times of the day, and certainly not other times of the year. And I've walked past this so many times, but it's just finding something in the simplicity of this. And why am I taking it? Because I want to take it. I feel that there's a certain expression in this doorway I'm not sure yet what it is, but there's a graphic element that's just grabbed my eye and I like it. So then there's the next question, isn't there? What am I going to do with the image? Well, I'm going to show it to you, of course. Yes, I know it's a French door, but there is something else about this that reminds me of France. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe you can tell me. But in terms of embellishment, this is pretty straight. Hardly any work done to this. Shadow adjustment, highlight adjustment, hardly anything. Just works for me. Now, is it the kind of image that I'm going to print, frame and put on a wall? In the right situation, maybe, but probably not. However, you might print it in a coffee table. Oh, that got dark quickly, didn't it? You might print it in a coffee table book. It's a great thing for a magazine or a fanzine, you know, a documentary piece on chroma. Or maybe you've got a project of doors and windows. In actual fact, give that a go, because I'll tell you something for nothing. Getting photographs of doors and windows, they are so varied. Maybe not with the rather unpleasant UPVC that we have these days, but wonderful old painted doors with a bit of character like that. You can get some amazing images of those. Now the question here is, do I go down to the pier, or do I walk down the prom? You can see, actually, I don't know whether you can. If I turn again, you may be able to see over here, just in the kind of middle distance, how the remains of the fog are kind of spilling off of the cliff tops there and down onto the beach. That's a rather nice view, but I don't think there's a photograph there. As humans, we embellish reality every day. Let me give you a prime example. You wouldn't want to be watching this video now if I didn't have any clothes on. Dressing is a form of embellishment. Styling our hair is a form of embellishment. Putting makeup on is a form of embellishment. Decorating our homes is a form of embellishment. And let's take this back to photography for a moment. Loading a roll of HP5 into a camera or a roll of Kodak Gold allows us to embellish what we capture through the lens onto that film. The embellishment starts here, long before we ever get to a piece of software. I've got no problem embellishing reality for all of the reasons I've kind of covered so far. There's no shame in it. This is, again, this is kind of talking more to the purists in photography, because if you're someone that considers yourself to be a purist, honestly, I don't think you understand photography. This idea of having something that's entirely photorealistic is fine if it has to be photorealistic. Yeah, if you're reporting on the condition of something, you need it. If you're reporting on news, you need it. If you're, like so many people, creating a piece of art, then absolutely you don't need it. And in actual fact, half the question is, what's real anyway? Is a studio product shot real? Look at the menu at your local fast food takeaway. Honestly, have you ever had a burger or a pizza that looks like that? So is that what we're calling real? Because clearly it isn't. So just down here, there's the simplest of sand patterns. It's just reminded me of something. It looks of something. It's a simple skeleton tree, but it's got a stone at the bottom of it. I'm immediately led to think of a seed growing into a tree. Artistic interpretation. That's what this is about, surely. I'm going to do some more embellishment of reality here. I've walked past these kind of beach hut things so many times. I know I've never seen this image because often I'm walking past right in front of them on the promenade rather than on the beach here. But the uniformity of them works so well for a slice of reality. The embellishment here is a crop. I'm going to be shooting this probably in a 16:9 aspect ratio with a full expectation of pulling that down further to hopefully something like a 16:7. And it's a really simple kind of layered image. Well, there's not a lot of layers in it, but it's kind of line, if you see what I mean. And I rather like this. In honesty, I'm kicking myself. I've not seen this before. Just got to get kind of central to it. The light's not perfect. I could do it coming back another time when the light's a little less harsh. But the number of people here is great, i.e. none. Yeah, I like that. Now, if we consider the word embellishment to be something a little major, then this is the first image of this video that I've actually embellished. All of them have had editing, of course, a little bit, but this has been embellished, and I'll tell you why. It's simply because what I saw on that beach is not what I saw on screen afterwards. It just didn't visually work for me. I'm not entirely certain why. I can hazard guesses and such, but anyway, here's a few edits, and if you want to see me edit one of these, then you can join the channel where the full edit is shown in a video for members only. I photographed this bicycle on a previous visit and embellished it. I embellished it in a way that made it fitting to the scene. An old bike, an old scene. What's wrong with that? How we choose to expose things can be equally an embellishment of reality. There's not a great deal of light here, but I can see an image of this table, this chair and the window and the wall quite nicely with my eyes. But when I put it through the camera and the camera chooses its exposure, which here is arbitrarily 320 at f5, it to me looks a little underexposed, but all of a sudden that brings a certain charm to it. Yeah, it's slightly darker, and somehow the camera appears to be emphasizing the streaks of rust falling off this post box and such running down the wall, and it's making quite a gritty type of image to it. There's a real lovely charm to this, which I really do like. I'm going to make sure I'm going to get everything pretty sharp. So f8, 125th of a second, just making sure I don't get something in the shot I don't particularly want. Hold on, let's come back to here. There we go, and snap. I quite like the shot. So you see, we embellish reality all of the time, and if we're creating art, knock yourselves out, embellish it all you like. I use so many tools to embellish reality. It all starts with the camera and lens choice, and then the exposure, and well, I suppose not just the exposure, but also the the zoom level, the crop factor, if you like, what I'm putting in the image and what I'm choosing not to put in the image, sometimes in camera, sometimes afterwards, sometimes because I haven't seen things, sometimes because I can't crop in camera the way I'd like to. Where does embellishing reality start and stop? I mean, here I've got another kind of letterbox type image that probably, actually this one's better than the last, I have to say, because there's a very similar image on the other side of this building that's got something just creeping in to the side of what is otherwise an incredibly uninteresting image, apart from the shapes in it. And it's the fact that it's got clean lines and shapes that makes it work, in my mind at the very least. But there's an ashtray or something on the other side that creeps into one side of the shot. Well, before I came to this and saw this side, I thought, I'll clone that out. You know, it's an embellishment of reality. But does it matter? If I was painting it, if I was drawing it, there's every chance I wouldn't draw it in. So what's the problem with taking it out? So where do we draw the line with this? Well, clearly it's up to you. There's a lot of photography discussion around AI and such, and I think AI's got its place. Yeah, it's useful as a tool, but creating something and distorting reality via AI, it's fine, so long as you don't pretend that it's anything other than a distortion. And I suspect we're in the same kind of ballpark with embellishing reality with photography. For the kind of images I create, I'm just looking at an artistic impression of it, and therefore a little bit of cloning here and there isn't a problem. What I prefer to do is take a shot without something in it that I would prefer it not to have. That didn't come across very well, did it? But I think you know what I mean. You know, if I don't want something there, I'll try and find a way of not putting it there in the first place, rather than taking it out afterwards, which is why the image of the arcade kind of worked better on the second time. Well, in my head at the moment, because I haven't seen the outcomes, but you know, the ashtray I thought it was, which isn't, it's an electrical outlet and such. I don't have to take them out because I found an image where they didn't exist. That's much better. On reflection, I think the word embellishment is actually preferable to editing. I think it's better than the discussion around post-processing, because where I came into this is the concept of embellishment is to make something better, to improve it. So why the hell not? What's your take on embellishment or post-processing or editing? I know there's a number of people that say, I barely ever edit anything. And so long as you're doing that because you're happy with the JPEGs that you're getting out of the camera, great. If you're doing that because you think that you're much of a better photographer because you don't edit something, you need to watch this video over here. But let's just think more about this term. I think the term's the important part for me, embellishment. The more I think about it, the more I like it.